Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday. This is a weekly show which covers all the news from Star Citizen from the week just past. I am your host Mac, so let's get on with it. This week we get to see how the Esperia Prowler is progressing. We hear about investigation missions on derelict space stations, plus they now have NPCs capable of boarding ships. So before we begin, I'd like to say a huge thank you and welcome to my latest patron, Spaceship Dev. Thank you so much for the support, it is truly appreciated. If you do enjoy my content and would like to support my channel from as little as $1 a month, follow the link in the description below. So this week's Inside Star Citizen first took a look at the Esperia Prowler. This is an armoured personnel carrier from Esperia, which is slated for 3.8. It's currently in the white box phase. We got to see the cockpit and chunks of the interior blocked out. So far for the interior, they have the cockpit, the co-pilot seat and component room, which you can see has easy access from the pilot seat. The ship's cockpit is very different to human cockpits, and so the ship's movements are controlled by a single input. And using this joystick, you can see it moves in all the necessary directions. But I'd love to see this device on sale one day for us to pick up and use at home. I think that would be pretty awesome. Now the Tavaran are actually inspired by birds as a species, so you'll see that that's reflected throughout their ship. The struts expand as they go up, giving an impression of trees and birds' nests. You can see the cool entrance door as well, leading to space for 4 battle-ready guys. The rest of the interior still needs to be built, like mounting the jump seats to the ceiling. The rear hatch is working and sealing properly, and the 8 jump doors are also now working properly as well. But then they need to marry that up with the exterior, and then build the whole unique style set for the Tavaran, do the final pass for decals and materials as well as the lighting, and then it's ready for the flight setup. So they're making good progress, but it does sound like there's still a hell of a lot of work left to be done, so it's going to be close for 3.8. There is still time, I reckon, but I'm starting to think this might be a 3.8 point something patch. Hopefully not. Anyway, after that, they showed us a couple of the tools that they have created and use to ensure the builds that they create are as solid and stable as possible, but also cut the time of development down drastically. These guys look after the engine editor, and they also look after the general tools to help in many areas, from automated testing to reporting crashes and so on. There are many tools that the devs use. These are so important to save time in creating aspects of the game and just maintaining a high level of accuracy. They also said it's very helpful, especially for the Vulcan work they're doing. So that's kind of exciting. Anyway, that was it for Inside Star Citizen. Let's move on. So this week's Star Citizen Live was with Luke Presley talking all about the mission system and what we can expect in missions going forward. It was a very good show with lots of information, so get your popcorn and relax. First question is, current missions require flying all over the system. Can we get localized missions? Now they say the plan going forward is to create enough content to fill a planet, so you will want to stay in one area for a good amount of time rather than constantly having to fly from one to the next. With the addition of these new space stations especially, they plan to make huge leaps in the amount of content each planetary location will receive. So these derelict stations, for example, delivery missions will still have you making long hauls, but there will be plenty of localized missions as well. The rewards for missions will be balanced a lot, so it doesn't cost more to run a mission than you get rewarded. The dynamic mission system that they are developing now will help with all this drastically. Someone asked if they could display mission distance before we accept it. That would be very good if it's a localized mission or if it's 32 million kilometers away, and they say yes, it will be possible, and they could likely add this. Third question is, are there plans to create more missions similar to the Gundo Kovalek's personal investigator mission? Now the trouble is, they say that it's very time consuming to make these arcing stories. Kovalek's was their first attempt at this kind of gameplay, and they do intend to do more with these mission types. The abandoned rest stops will help again. Kovalek's as a station doesn't really make any functional sense. The abandoned rest stops will not only have the areas that players can walk around, like we will see with the normal functioning rest stops coming in 3.8, but they will also have worker areas, lower decks, like engineering and so forth, and they are absolutely huge, he says. These provide the mission team with so much scope to take missions, including investigation missions with arching stories. They also intend to introduce some form of email system which players can log into and flick through to see the history of the people on that station hunting for clues which may stand out, potentially leading you on an investigation which could be dead ends or it could lead you to the next clue. Now, I love this idea, the thought of walking around these huge derelict stations, hunting for clues, getting access to places, checking out leads, which could be good leads or dead leads. It's up to you to make sure that you use the information and actually investigate. Hopefully, it's not just going to be UI icons popping up saying, go here and do this. And if you miss something, if you miss a clue that is guiding you somewhere, then you will likely struggle. I love this non-hand-holding approach. Now, the next question is, could we see procedurally generated mission systems for spawning multiple variations of missions? Now, Luke says that this is absolutely necessary. They cannot handcraft them all. They will take a location and set it up for multiple missions. In fact, they say caves are already full of dead bodies for these types of locating missions and other mission-specific items, but they only spawn once the mission is accepted. Next question is regarding missions from Miles and Ruto. They said that we could accept them remotely without needing to go face-to-face every time they have a mission. Is this still the plan? They said yes. They're soon working on a deep reputation system which will allow progression with individuals like Miles. So as you work your way through the missions, you may still need to occasionally go back and see them, but as you build a reputation and it evolves with these mission givers, then you won't need to as much as you build trust with them, which kind of makes sense. Can we see other rewards, not just UEC? And they say they really want this, but the problem is they need to generate assets to then present to the player first, so making the item rewards will take a bit more time than just giving you credit. So eventually they will, but early days, not quite yet. Next question is, will there be missions that are ship specific, so maybe a hacking mission for the Herald or a race against time in the M50? Now, they do want these, but currently they are making missions for everyone. Right now they're actually making missions that can be completed by teams with a torpedo ship, and in the future they want to have some more involved cargo running missions, but they're waiting on the UI screens for trading. Once they get these trading screens, they could then have a tab on any shop console which shows the jobs that that shop has, maybe an item being delivered to X location for Dumper's Depot, so kind of courier jobs. Trading consoles could also have jobs that ask for X amount of a commodity moving to Y in Z amount of time. So all screens could have specific jobs available, which is pretty cool. One mining mission could be that we need this much in weight of this commodity and then no guide as to where to find it, meaning that you'll need to know and be good at your craft. So those who focus in one area will see benefits for their knowledge and experience. It also means that we won't just keep getting missions that tell us exactly where to go. We'll have to think for ourselves, which will likely be more better paid jobs, which I'm looking forward to. With non-lethal combat coming soon, can we expect new missions like capturing bounties or boxing competitions? Now, they said they'll need dragging and the carrying of bodies for the bounty stuff, so not until that's in, but they have created laws for combat, so things like battery second degree, assault, and such. As soon as they get the body dragging, then most likely the bounty missions will evolve to capturing rather than killing, which would be great news. What are the chances of fighting alongside NPCs on missions? Now, they fully plan to do this, but they want to get the easier stuff done first and then work on the more advanced mission types, which is understandable. Are there plans for science and exploration based missions? For example, bring a sample of this plant to an outpost or find out how deep this cave goes. And they say yes, in fact, there is a design that they are working on soon based on this very thing. Whether they mean cave deepnesses or bring in samples of plants, I don't know. But they do want the collection of harvestable missions, but instead of these items being handed off to just a locker, which we currently have, they would rather have it so that you hand it to someone who then puts it under a microscope and finds the means to an end, basically. Next question is, can we have missions that lead to other missions? So, for example, if you take out all the occupants of a bunker and upon searching one of the bodies, you find a clue that leads to another mission. Now, they say a few things are needed for this. They are working on a simple sequential mission involving a family, which he did say they cannot go into right now, but they definitely do want to do this kind of thing. One theory that Luke Presley has, is that all ships will have flight recorders, and it records basically everything that happens on board. So if you destroy someone outside of monitored space, then the law won't be able to see this, but the ship's log will do. and so does your own ship recorder. So maybe you have to take the black box from that ship and destroy it, but then your own ship has the entire log of what happened, so you are protecting yourself by protecting your ship as well, so hoping people don't get control of that. This also means that maybe if you kill a bad guy, you could take his ship's black box and hand that into the officials, claiming all the rewards for his crimes, which also, he did say, could maybe lead into investigation missions. So if you find a black box, handing that and collecting the rewards, then you might get pinged later on asking you to investigate something based off of what was found on the black box. Now this sounds very interesting. Obviously, this is just Luke's suggestions that he is putting to people like Tony Z and Chris Roberts. So we could see this become a career on its own, you know, finding derelict ships, taking the black box and earning money for handing it in at the very least, but then maybe the people you handed it into wants you to investigate further about an aspect from it. Very clever. Now the next question is, can we hack the crime stat for someone else? So removing other people's crime stats. Now they did actually want this for 3.7, but they just couldn't get it in time. They do want this maybe being able to see every player on the server, and if you chose to, remove crimes for them individually. But coming soon, once you hack into the database, you will see all of your individual crimes listed, and you have to hack each one individually. So it sounds like one hacking chip per crime, and depending on your hacking chip, you could get caught halfway through the hack. Obviously, the better the chip, the less likely. Now he also says that if you delete too many crimes in short succession, it'll get flagged as suspicious and you'll likely be shut out of the system. So the 8,000 UEC chip that you bought is not a ticket to freedom. It is more just to reduce your crimes, and you have to be clever about it. So it sounds like they're going in really deep with this stuff. Will we be able to track multiple missions at the same time? Now they don't want it to get too complicated. For delivery missions, it would be quite helpful. So they may allow you to track everything, but with the UI, it would just be all over the place if you have lots of mission markers. There is a new contract manager rework coming in, so they could take a look at it then and decide if there's a good way to form it in. Next question, will we get passenger transport missions? Now they say yes, and they've just managed to get the AI able to step off of certain ships, not using all the exit methods and not all ships, but that's an impressive feat in itself. However, to do this kind of mission properly, they would rather bring in things like AI dialogue and ways to entertain the NPCs on board. Otherwise, it's just a different type of cargo. Now, this is kind of a big step in having the NPCs able to get on and off of ships. It opens up so much more potential for other areas like AI crew, of which I will explain more in a separate video, I think. Second to last question, will there be mission gates? Maybe requiring the players to have certain ships in order to complete a mission. So restricting the missions that you can choose based on the ships that you own. Now obviously we've spoken about filtering certain missions that you will have the choice to do, but they definitely don't want to stop you from seeing certain missions based on your ship that you own, because obviously you can rent ships, you may have friends who own those ships, so most likely it'll be more of just filters. Also, if there's certain guilds or factions that you want to do missions for, you will likely only see the first introduction mission to that guild, but as you work for that guild a little more, like we said with Miles and Ruto, then they may open up more missions for you. Also, if you have a criminal record, then some missions will be restricted, but at the same time, other missions might open up for you that you won't get if you didn't have a criminal record. But he did say if you're a level 5 criminal, then you will not likely get many missions, as nobody really wants such a wanted player accepting missions because it's too much heat. Now, final question, will there be open-ended missions? So if you see pirates, killing them will get you rewards for each one you take down with no stopping of the contract. So basically whenever you're out and about, if you see like a Ninetails flying around, take him down, you get rewarded, just a consistent thing. Now they say long-term plans, when you reach a certain high-level rep with, say, the law agency, they will deputize you and you can earn credits for every criminal you arrest or take out. Now short-term, the CDF, or the Civilian Defense Force, which is run by the Advocacy, will have missions that allow you to scan ships, and if you see that they have criminals on board and you arrest them, then you can get paid. Now they are actually working on that actively now, and I love this idea of getting so high up in the ranking of a security agency or maybe the law itself and being deputized, and just allowing you to uphold the law and having that weight behind you would be quite fun. But that is it for this week's Star Citizen Live. Some really interesting stuff there from Luke, and I do hope to have a chat with him at CitizenCon because I have some questions of my own. But there are also lots of topics that I would like to talk about in a separate video, which we will do later, maybe next week or the week after. Anyway, do let me know what you think. Let's move on. So also this week, the Galactic Guide brought us the Branna system. Squadron 42's monthly report is available. However, I have covered this in a separate video linked below. And there are big changes on the roadmap, all of which I have covered in my weekly roadmap video, also linked below. So that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and share the video with all your friends. If you like what I do and want to help me make it better, follow the link below to my Patreon page to learn more.